Morning, brothers and sisters. Naomi back for probably a short little video. And this is a bit of a tag on from the last video. I did watch it, and I do see that the passage that I was looking for where she was accused and was kind of dumbfounded about it, that part where she was silent is in another passage, which I haven't found just yet. But the passage where she was accused is found in Psalm 35, and I thought we'd take a look at that right quick as a tie-in to the last video, because I wrote a bunch of notes under the last video for anybody who actually reads the notes. And I thought I'd just share another book that I recently bought. I bought this one. I don't know if you could see it. It's got a velvet cover on it, and it's got this little, you see? I know. This is a pretty cool book. So I just wanted to share that with you. And my pins is just these normal little pins that I write with. But I wanted to share Psalm 35 with anybody who was interested in that passage. And I'll read this verse right off the top, because Mother God, Mother Yahweh, Mother Jerusalem is going to back her messengers up. That's plain as day. And she keeps saying, and we're going to hit that passage when we read Psalms 35. We're going to hit, again, that term, who is like God. And you're always going to hit those passages when you're speaking about the daughters of Zion and the congregation. You're always going to hit those passages, because the one who is like God, who is like Mother, is daughter Zion. And it's not no man. Mikael means who is like God. It's not no male angel or an angel or a sexless angel, though they always say he. Well, Michael, what's that if that isn't male? So, but it says this in Isaiah 8:10. Mother says this: devise a plan and it will fail. Make a prediction and it will not happen. For God is with us. So she's saying there, you can write as many prophecies as you want. You can take your interpretation on them and write these false prophecies as often as you'd like. But she says, when it's all said and done, my truth is going to be what's going to be. Not yours. Not your lies. Not your deception. But me and my truth is going to be what stands to the very end. And she's talking about her daughters of Zion, her messengers. So we're going to look at Psalm 35 right quick. Of course, I'm on verse 15. All right, we'll start at verse 1. All right, we'll just go through it pretty quick. Short video. A Psalm of David. Plead my cause, O Lord. Now, the overview here, of course, is the spirit or the soul of daughter Zion. We'll look at that a little bit more when we get reading. All right. Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler and stand up for my help. Come to my aid. Who's the help? The Spirit is. What was Eve called? The helper. No such thing as helpmate. There's no term that exists, helpmate. None in original Hebrew. So helpmate was put in there to diminish the feminine. She is a great power. I was reading in Hosea 11 this morning. And you see a clear representation in Hosea 11 as Ephraim as the restrainer, or as the power that is actually restrained. She's actually yoked, is the idea in Hosea. All right. You find it. Okay. So it's Hosea chapter is it 11? Hosea chapter 11? It's Hosea 11. I'm sure of it. Yeah. No, 10. Okay. So this is what it says. It says Hosea 10 verse 11. Hosea. And Ephraim is an heifer that is taught, and loveth to tread out the corn, But it says, I passed. When you look those words up, it means she's yoked. She was yoked. She yoked her neck. She yoked her power. She restrained her power. And it says, I will make Ephraim to ride, Judah shall plow, and Jacob shall break his clods. Now, Ephraim is the spirit restrained. The restrainer restrained. That's, you see that yoke on her neck. But she has a work that she has to do here, and that is to plow the fields, and the seed is put in, and she bears that seed. But then what are we told? She's no longer restrained at the end, and she goes forth as a travailing woman. That's a representation of your restrainer no longer restrained, I believe, in Isaiah 42. So we'll just look at it right quick before we continue on our merry way here. Okay, Isaiah 42. What does it say? We'll start at verse 10. Although it speaks, behold, the former things are come to pass, in a new thing do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. The they is the daughters of Zion, as your scion, as your branch, your tender sprout coming forth. Verse 10, sing unto the Lord a new song, and her praise from the end of the earth, ye that go down to the sea, and all that is therein, the isles and the inhabitants thereof. Let the wilderness and the cities thereof lift up their voice. The villages that Kedar doth inhabit, let the inhabitants of the rock sing, let them shout from the top of the mountains. Verse 12, let them give glory unto the Lord, and declare her praise in the islands. They've always got he, okay? Verse 13, the Lord shall go forth as a mighty, not man, a mighty woman. She shall stir up jealousy like a woman of war, and she shall cry, yea, roar. She shall prevail against her enemies, her accusers. I have long time holden my peace, she says in verse 14. I have been stilled and refrained. I have restrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman, and I will destroy and devour at once. Now, her power was just restrained. We see these daughters of Zion, known as the remnant of Israel. And when they're no longer restrained, they're just a powerhouse. And I believe you're going to get your allusion to that in Job 40, where she is the behemoth. She's powerful. She can look through lies and snares, and no one can entrap her. All right? And that takes us back to this passage in Psalm 35 that we're actually going to read. But she says, I will destroy and I will devour at once. That's the harvest. That's the judgment. It says judgment begins at the house of God. That's the delivery of the children. She says, now will I go forth like a travailing woman. All right? Ephraim was restrained. She had a yoke put on her neck. The spirit had a yoke put on her neck. She was restrained. Her power was. I will make waste mountains and hills, and I will dry up all their herbs, and I will make the rivers islands, and I will dry up the pools. And I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. She's going to take them into the clean footpaths. She's going to repair the breach, the restorer of clean paths to dwell in. I will lead them in paths that they have not known, and I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed. They're going to be ashamed that they didn't remember her. That trust in graven images, that say to the molten images, ye are our gods. That's your he. Now, what do we get in Psalm 35? Okay, so draw out also the spirit and stop the way against them that persecute me, and say unto my soul, I am thy salvation. All right? So it looks like when you get reading this, and this just fascinated me because this is where the twin idea begins to really take hold. So many of us, so many have had dreams about twins. Now I haven't, but I have hit it in Song of Songs, the twins, right? Everyone has born a twin. It says everyone. All right? And so you get the allusion to the teeth up and the teeth down. So it's almost like you're looking at the heavenlies and the earthlies is what you're looking at. And in this passage, it sort of correlates to that. It's almost as if the soul of a person here on earth is talking to their counterpart spirit in the heavenlies. That's almost what this looks like. And I believe that it is now. I believe that it is the soul of the daughter of Zion speaking to the spirit of daughter Zion. And they're one and the same in a sense, all right, when they're together, but they're not together, right? So draw out also the spirit and stop the way against them that persecute me, and say unto my soul, I am thy salvation. Let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. Let them be turned back and brought to confusion that devise my hurt. Let them be as chaff before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them. I believe the angel of the Lord here is daughter Zion in the heavenlies. Let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord persecute them. We hit this passage in a different way, but you can link it back here. Such as in Deuteronomy 32, and I'll go here in my Bible right quick if I can. So in Deuteronomy 32, it says this, and we'll get it again in Psalm 141, I believe. Well, there I go. I'm in Joshua now. Okay, we'll get there. I get impatient with myself. Okay. Okay, so Deuteronomy 32 says this. She says, excuse me. We will find the verse that we're looking for. And this will be one of my last videos. I'm fairly certain of that, unless, the Lord leads me. I might possibly put one up every once in a while, maybe one a month or something like that, and maybe none. I don't know. I'm feeling in my spirit that I am done. All right. And I will go over my copy of the Key of David, and I'll highlight anything that I think needs to be in there. And if I think I need to put a last video up for the Key of David to cover anything that I missed, then I'll do that, okay? But I am looking for... Huh. How did I know I wasn't going to find it? But it does so say in Deuteronomy 32, she says, and it's God speaking, she says, I swear by myself that I live forever. It just to me has such a whole feel, Deuteronomy 32, of Virgo, of the Virgin. It just has such a feel of that. That whole symbology of the symbol or constellation of Virgo. And she holds her hand up and she says, I swear by myself that I live forever. Well, the only one that can do that would be God on the earth, and it would be the Spirit. The body can't swear that. If the body's indwelt with a harlot spirit and lifts its hands up, it can't do that. It has to be the Spirit alone, God alone, that can do that. So, I'm sorry. Where is it? Okay. It does say it in here. It says, in due time. Right there. It's verse 35. Deuteronomy 32:35. To me belongeth vengeance. Well, who did we discover vengeance belongeth to? Well, daughter Zion, who sits to Christ's right hand in Psalm 110. So we know that that's That's my idea. That's who's speaking here, who swears by herself that she lives forever, is the daughter Zion here on earth. In Deuteronomy 32, she is also virgin daughter Zion. To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time. You see, they're in the heights. Their foot sliding now. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. For the Lord shall judge her people, and repent herself for her servants when she seeth that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. And she shall say, where are their gods? That's a little g. Their rock, their foundation, that's the whore spirit, in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offerings. Let them raise up and help you and be your protection. See now that I am she, not he. And there is no God with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven, and say, I live forever. If I whet my glittering sword, and mine hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to mine enemies, and will reward them that hate me. And they do. They hate the feminine God, or the idea she don't exist. We call God a liar, because God says in this very creation I show you my Godhead, and because men of Baal wrote he, and discarded the female, you believe him, you don't believe me. I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives, from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. Rejoice, O ye nations, with her people, for she will avenge the blood of her servants, and will render vengeance to her adversaries, and will be merciful unto her land and to her people. All right. And in Psalms 141, what does it say? It says, verse 6, when their judges are overthrown in stony places, that's high places that they've exalted themselves to, they shall hear my words, for they are sweet. Okay, so that's how that says it there. It doesn't say their foot slips. Yeah, it says that they're overthrown from high places. That's what stony places means, high places, where they've set themselves up as the world's rulers and leaders. That's your he-goats. That's your harlot spirit. That's Lucifer that's been exalted into the midst of the body. And your representation is the second heavens to that, of course. Our bones are scattered at the grave's mouth. Bones there is feminine. That means Israel. That's 144,000 daughters of Zion. Israel is what they're called, the remnants of Israel, are scattered at the grave's mouth, as when one cutteth and cleaveth wood upon the earth. But mine eyes are unto thee, O God the Lord. That's 136. In thee is my trust. Leave not my soul destitute. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst I withal escape. So we have those. Okay, I said this was going to be a short video. Okay, I apologize. But I just like to tie in, well, there I go again. I just like to tie in as many as I can, as many passages together, because there is many passages that you can tie in together. And for anybody who thinks this truth doesn't matter and doesn't have a bearing on the end, I don't know where you get your logic and reasoning from. This is what caused the fall to happen in the first place. You don't think this matters? You don't think being raptured out of here with the idea of a male conflicts with the truth? You don't think that that's in conflict with the truth? And that truth matters and has a bearing on the way the story ends? You don't think that? Wow. You really do have clay on your eyes. Where was we? We were on, let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord persecute them. That's daughter Zion as the angel of the Lord there. For without cause have they hid for me their net in a pit. What did we just read in 141? Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape. So they've laid a net for her feet, for the daughter Zion's feet, hoping to entrap her in this snare. And once we understand when these daughters are in their rightful place, and they're moving in the way and in the powerful way of the Spirit that they should be moving in, you get the allegory of them moving as a powerful behemoth that nobody can touch. And what does it say about snares? She taketh it with her eyes. They got he, of course, men wrote it in there. Her nose pierces through snares, right? They're not going to entrap her in their pit, in their net. For without cause had they hid for me their net in a pit. So what did she just say there? Without cause. They had no reason to want to entrap me, for the simple reason that they simply hated me. That's what it was. They were jealous of her. They hated her. They wanted to take her out. For without cause had they hid for me their net in a pit. There is fallen Adam and the horror spirit that he made a covenant with. We're looking at righteous daughter Zion here. This is the one that we have to be looking at right now. Which without cause they have digged for my soul. For my soul. For these righteous daughters who once were inhabited in a very powerful way by Mother Spirit, Mother Jerusalem from above, making these the daughters of Zion. Let destructions come upon him and her at unawares, unexpectedly. And let his net and her net that he hath hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall. And they do, and that's evidenced by the verse that we find in Jeremiah 30 verse 6, where it says, why now do I see every man standing around with his hands on his hips as a woman in travail? They fell into this notion that they don't need no female to birth them. It's all on he to do that, him to do that, to deliver. Deliverance, it states very plainly, belongs to the daughters on her. Numbers 136. It belongs to her. The issues of life. It tells us that in Psalm 68. We'll go there. And then we'll finish reading this. I know, we're rehashing old things, but I am finishing up. I believe judgment does come. Nobody wants to hear truth today. They've had it shaped for so long. They just won't receive reasoning. When you reason the text out and you show it right to them, they just don't believe it. They'll take fallen theology written in a book by a man 1,000 years ago as truth, as opposed to you showing it to them and reasoning it out. They just don't get it. So I know we're bringing on judgment. By these daughters of Zion, I don't think I'm the only one, but by these daughters of Zion bringing on this truth and understanding it and presenting it and having it rejected, you know, Lord Jesus says, if they hated me, how much more are they going to hate you? And so he says, rejection is what they're going to do. They're going to reject you. That's what they're going to do. I don't have thousands of counts. I don't even have hundreds of counts. If that isn't proof that they're rejecting the truth, and it doesn't matter how much logic that you bring to the table and how much reasoning you bring to the table, they simply don't want to put the effort out and go do it themselves either. They just simply don't want a part in it. It's too easy to believe in what is already shaped. It's too easy. And it requires strength to go in and to believe that maybe, just maybe, those men that you're relying on to reason this out has reasoned it all wrong. And they did. They reasoned it all wrong. Because they reasoned it according to the ideas of a man, a male, and not according to these ideas of fairness. They did not reason the text out. And it also states in Psalm 83 that they're hidden ones. So we know that the truth is hidden here. So if men wrote it hidden there, number one, and God permitted it, it's got to be something of great importance, okay? Great importance. That is going to have a great bearing on the end of days. All right? So where does it say? Okay, verse 20. She that is our God. It says he. Again, it always says he. No such thing as a female God. She that is our God is the God of salvation. You look that word up. And unto God, the Lord, that's 136, that's daughter's aunt, belongs the issues from death. All right, where do we find it in the New Testament? Well, we found it in Romans chapter 11. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? You're talking about the daughters of Zion. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which she seeketh for. She sought for the truth so she could deliver the children. But the election, the 144,000 daughters of Zion, have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. The creation is waiting for the manifestations of the daughters, not the sons. The sons do not deliver. That's why you see every man standing around with his hands on his hip as a woman in travail. He's fell into his own net, into his own pit, into his own lies. Why? Because he tickled his ears. That's why Christ was stabbed in the gallbladder liver area, representing the poisoning of the doctrines that poisons the body, that kills it. All right? For without cause had they hid for me their net in a pit, which without cause they have digged for my soul. Let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he hath hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall. According to the Bible, he does. They are. They're not listening. And my soul shall be joyful in the Lord. It shall rejoice in her salvation, in her deliverance. All my bones, all my bones. Now it's funny because we look at the bones of the behemoth. These are the daughters of Zion. The bones represent the daughters of Zion. That causes this powerful entity known as the behemoth, known as that red heifer in the Abrahamic Sarah covenant, or the heifer. It doesn't say red, but there's also a red heifer. And that's what these daughters represent. All my bones shall say, look who is like unto thee. Look, there we have Mikael right there. They just twisted it all around. And they used Lord instead of Lord. They used Lord 3068 instead of Lord L. Right? That's what they did here. So Lord, who is like unto thee? It actually, what's Michael's name translates to? Who is like God. So you actually have an allusion to Michael's name. Right here, it's not a name. It's not a name. It's a term for Mother Jerusalem, who is searching for her daughter Zion, her soul here on earth. Alright? All my bones shall say, which is represented as daughter Zion. Who is like unto thee, which delivereth the poor from her or him that is too strong for her or him, and yea, the poor and the needy from him, her that spoileth. All right. False witnesses did rise up, and they laid to my charge things that I knew not. They rewarded me evil for good to the spoiling of my soul. This is what they did to her, to the righteous daughter, the key of David, the government of God. They took her out of play. They didn't want nothing to do with her. What does it say in Song of Songs? And I'm going to wrap this up. I keep saying that. Sorry. Well, what does it say in Song of Songs? All right. It says this. Verse 6 of chapter 1. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They had no reason to be, but they were angry with her. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I neglected, or have I not kept. What do you suppose she's talking about there? What we've been talking about. I behaved, it says, but as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into mine own bosom. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother. I still treated him like he was my brother, my friend, my husband. I bowed down heavily as one that mourneth for her mother. They rejected mother, so it could be mother here. But it also could be her brother that she's mourning for, because she knows it means great loss. So it could be mother because of what they did. They rejected the mother spirit, mother God. They say she don't exist, she's not required, just father and son, and that's it, and it's a he that sits on the throne, no woman required, and we're waiting for a descendant of David, another male, they tell us, to take the throne on earth. There's no queen required, there's no woman required, somehow they're going to birth themselves. She's not God. That's what makes you God. Mary didn't have father impregnate her. It was the spirit that came upon Mary. She says, I was alone when I created. There was no God with me. I was alone. But in mine adversity they rejoiced and gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me, and they ceased not. With hypocritical mockers and feasts they gnashed upon me with their teeth. Lord, how long wilt thou look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions. Rescue, it says, my only one from the young lions. Where do we get another reference to my only one? Song of Songs 6:9. What does it say? My dove, my undefiled, is but one. She is the only one of her mother. She is the choice one of her that bare her. The daughter saw her and blessed her, and yea, the queens, and also the concubines. Yeah. And they praised her. There's no concubines in heavens. There's no polygamy in the heavens. That's man-made law. That's what that is, and it was used to bring her down. All right? Indignity. It was used to debase her, to treat the feminine as if she's less and as if she's under a male. She is not. But in my adversity they rejoiced. Who rejoiced? Well, that harlot, that Lucifer, that he exalts in the midst of the body, and then fallen Adam on here that points at righteous daughters continually every day. They accuse her every day. Men accuse righteous daughters every day. These fallen Adams who thinks they're just because the word makes them just, because they haven't really gone in and studied it to the degree that they needed to. They accuse their sisters, their righteous sisters. I've had to sit under many teachings that debased women and exalted the men that were sitting next to you. I had to listen to those accusations, and in the heavens, Lucifer and the whore spirit is also accusing them before God. They get it on both ends. It's a twofold accusation from the whore spirit in the midst of the heavens, because we were cast down to bear the sins, and from fallen Adam, who can't point at you enough and say it's your fault. And there's no she God, because we need to debase her as low as we can. So this is what we're talking about. But this isn't important to know at the end. This is not important. Who needs a female? With hypocritical mockers and feasts, they gnash upon me with their teeth. Lord, how long? Lord, here's 136, daughter Zion. So it's the soul of the daughter Zion speaking to her spirit in the heavenlies, is what it looks like. How long wilt thou look on? Rescue my soul from their destruction, my darling from the lions. So it says, my only one from the young lions. That's this daughter Zion. I will give thee thanks in the great congregation, and I will praise thee among much people. Now, the great congregation here is the 144,000 daughters of Zion, and the great and much people would be the children that they deliver. All right? And it's interesting because the first 3.5 year tribulation, you got 42 months. And what it looks like is by the 42-month mark, she has delivered the children where she's needed to deliver them. And you see the sign of Virgo in Revelations 12. But it takes 42 weeks as for the gestation of a child. 42 weeks versus 42 months. It looks like that's what we're looking at. Verse 18, I will give thee thanks in the great congregation. I will praise thee among much people. Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me. So this is the soul crying out to the spirit. Neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. For those who live peaceably in the land, They're devising deceitful matters against us. We're sitting here quietly behind closed doors. They're devising deceitful things to bring against us. All right? Yea, they opened their mouth wide against me, and they said, aha, aha, our eye hath seen it. These were the lies that they spread against her. They told lies. They didn't see a thing, but they lied about it and said, this is what we saw. This thou hast seen, O Lord. So who's our witness? Our Lord's our great witness. And the Lord hears 3068. Mother says, don't worry. I got your back, because what they don't realize is I saw everything. I watched it all go down. Their lies. There's no truth in their lies. There's no truth in their prognostications. I think that's where. There's no truth in them. They will not come to pass, because they're not prophetically true or from me. They're from liars who dreamed it up. Keep not silence, O Lord, be not far from me. Stir up thyself and awake to my judgment, even unto my cause, my God and my Lord. The soul here is talking to daughter Zion. The soul with her spirit is what it looks like. Judge me, O Lord my God, according to thy righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. Let's get through this. Let them not say in their heart, so would we have it. Let them not say, we have swallowed her up. They got him. It's her that they want to swallow up. They want to get rid of the righteous spirit altogether. But they can't, because she's God. Let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together that rejoice at mine hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. And they do. You see, that's what this seems to be about. These daughters that are realizing the truth, who are starting to pick their head up, and are calling on the spirit of Mother Jerusalem from above to inhabit them with great powers. As these daughters of Zion, they're actually laying a trap. That's what it looks like. It says, they don't know, they do not know the thoughts of Mother Jerusalem from above. We're just luring them to the threshing floor. So this is what it looks like. Judgment is coming on. All right? Because they're coming after us, because they know we're waking up. So they're coming after us, but that's part of the whole trap. That's part of the whole daughter Zion will thresh. Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of her servants. That's daughters of Zion. And my tongue shall speak of thy righteousness and of thy praise all the day long. All right. Now, that's one of the passages. Another one was where she actually remained silent. She could not speak. So she just kept silent throughout the whole accusation. She was so stunned by what they said about her and said against her. And so you have the soul and you have the spirit is what it looks like. And when it speaks of these daughters in Song of Song having a twin, is what it looks like. Let's look at this right quick. I'm at 38 minutes. Wow. I figured this would be much shorter. Sorry about that. What does it say? Okay. Actually, I wasn't going to make a video today. Right here, it says it in chapter 4 of Song of Songs, verse 2. Thy teeth are like a flock of sheep that are even shorn, which came up from the washing. They came up from the washing, whereof every one bare twins, and none is barren among them. So it looks like every one of these daughters of Zion's spirit has born a soul. That's them reborn in the earth. All right? And when that spirit comes upon us, it's our spirit. It's ordained for us. It's like we were created to hold that spirit. They're twins is what it looks like. And they're each one going to hold their twin spirit who is above, but the soul was cast down when this body, represented by Adam the man, rejected a covenant with the righteous spirit and received it with the whore spirit. Now, it was him who did that. She didn't do that. And because she didn't do that, there was a seed allotted to her called Israel. And those daughters of Zion are called the remnant of Israel. So each spirit has born a twin in the earth, a twin soul in the earth. And they will inhabit these, I believe, at the sealing of the 144,000 that then are going to go forth as the judges, but they're going to birth the children at the same time. That's what this is. And it says judgment begins at the house of God. And it's interesting that the first 3.5 years is 42 months and the gestation of a child is 42 weeks. That's an interesting correlation to make. So anyway, there's the video. Much longer than I intended to be. Sorry about that. Do think it'll be one of the last ones I do. I figure a year's long enough. I figure there's enough information for anybody who's actually pursuing the topic and pursuing this theology. A look at it through the Spirit's eyes as opposed to books' eyes and men's eyes, because most of the books are written by men. And they rarely believe in factoring in the female or looking into the feminine any more than in a negative context. They never go in search of a righteous feminine context in the sense of her being God. They never do that. So anyway, there's the video. Again, thanks for anybody who's watched my videos. I appreciate it. I love you. I hope the Lord blesses you in all that you pursue. And I hope you all have a really nice day.